Hello, my name is Jo Hawk, and this is my picturing language assignment for ETSP 553 in fall 2017 at Regent University. And first of all, I want to say that I really enjoyed this assignment, although it was quite frustrating. I'm not the greatest artist, so I struggle with trying to, refrain from overdoing because I'm not really great at it. But I had done some work with visuals before in class, not myself drawing, but having my students do it, and mostly vocabulary work and some literature circles that they had worked on. So, but I really like the way that this activity, the way it's designed. The way it incorporates fluency practice. I really like that. So here it is. This is my first frame, and you can see that Ronnie in his car is driving into the parking lot of the airplane factory, and he's thinking, I like this place, and he's waving to the guard there. And then in the second frame, you can see Ronnie very surprised at his desk, and you can see his desk right there has his keys on it, and the note is supposed to be saying, see me ASAP, Mr. Burns. And in the background I put like a big airplane and what I thought might look like airplane parts, so you could tell it was the inside of the factory. And then in frame 3 I have the hallway. So I know there was a parking lot in between. I wasn't able to get that in my 6. So anyway, this is the long hallway, and Ronnie is thinking, why am I going? That's the question mark. And then the second thought is supposed to be him thinking about his calling in sick. He's got a phone and an ice pack on his head. My own children had no idea what that was. They thought it was like a mug of something or another. But anyway, you can see the door at the end of the hallway says Human Resources, Mr. Burns, because that's where he's headed. And then in frame 4, he is in the outer office of Mr. Burns's office, and he has he's sitting there waiting, and you can see he has a little grimace on his face, and he's saying, I've been waiting forever, well, thinking it. And then the clock, I tried to show he had only been there 10 minutes, and the secretary, who was actually just called the woman in the story, is sitting at her desk saying, he'll be with you shortly. And then in frame 5, you see him meeting Mr. Burns. There's Ronnie, and I put an inset of them shaking hands, which I really kind of liked, that comic kind of feel. Again, not really an artist. Number 6 frame has Mr. Burns talking about docking Ronnie, and he's apologizing with the warning in his hand and a frowny face, but it ended all right. I also made a chart like I would create with my students when I was doing this activity, of the characters, and throwing in some literary terms like I would with my English students, protagonist and antagonist, and actually naming the woman as secretary and talking about that word. I thought this would be really good, especially with students who are learning, English as a second or another language, because they may not, put all of those terms together. And even the word guard may be confusing to them with the silent G, so that would be a really good opportunity to go into, that idea. So I also listed the setting here. Sorry about the camera work, using my phone. The setting I split into general and specific like I do in my English classes. So that would be a good opportunity to talk about the different scenes, maybe even before we started mapping them out on the storyboard. I thought that would be a good idea. And we could also talk about human resources and what that means, because that's something that a lot of my students are not familiar with. Then I had some conflict ideas of two different conflicts, internal and external, so that we could talk about those literary terms that are always, tested. We use these every time we're talking about any kind of story. And then these are some terms I thought might be from the story, and also that ASAP, the ASAP from my storyboard. I thought these might be some things we could actually list and talk about. They may not be familiar with. Calling in sick, some of them have had that experience, certainly, my native English speakers, but sometimes even that can be confusing to English learners, and the shaking hands might not be familiar as a practice to some students from other countries. Certainly the docking of pay, we could talk about dock and how usually, we refer to that as something that a boat is tied up at, and that different kind of usage. And then at the bottom, I made a plot pyramid showing all of the different parts of the plot, how I would probably separate them out and analyze the plot. So I thought that would be interesting, going through the scenes that way as well. And this could even inform the storyboard, maybe even better than I depicted on my version, thinking about it in terms of the plot and the different elements of it, which some of these could be debatable as well. So that is my picturing language assignment, and I really enjoyed working on it. I hope you enjoyed my analysis and my storyboard there. And it's growing on me. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.